If you're available, hop on the screen because it's always good to see you guys and it's more interactive. But this call is basically about real estate investing for real estate agents, right? A lot of real estate agents, even lenders, property managers, we do our business, but we don't find opportunities to invest in real estate. But there's plenty of opportunities to invest in real estate. And the way that I got started and my brother David got started is we learn by working with investors. So if you're not working with investors, you're missing the boat. You're missing a lot of opportunity. And the best way to work with investors is a couple ways, actually. You could work with flippers. You could work with buy and hold investors. You could find somebody who, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, you could go work for that person, and on their dime you're going to learn. But specifically, we had a speaker a couple weeks ago, young kid, 31 years old, had 156 units. In the next couple weeks I got Jim Black coming on. He owns a big team out in Worcester, Mass, also has a property management business, does investors. So we'll get educated and learn from other people. But what I wanted to talk about this week is the opportunity of working with flippers. So number one, if you're a real estate agent already, you're helping people buy and sell homes and invest. And some real estate agents, they feel like, oh, I never want to sell a home off market. I don't want to work with flippers. I don't want to work with rehabbers. But the reality of the situation is 20 to 30% of all transactions that happen are cash transactions. For one reason or another, the seller may not want to sell on the market. They don't want people to know their home is for sale. Whatever their reasons is, there's an opportunity there for you to do a transaction and to work with a flipper or become one yourself. And how do you find deals? Okay. So for real estate agents, I think you guys have all of the opportunity. Number one is you network with real estate agents. You know real estate agents. Like Ron Carpenito hopped on the call. He knows all of the real estate agents. Real estate agents find the deals first. We get the opportunity to find a deal. But also, based on our experience, knowing CMAs, knowing numbers, knowing how to present, we know the value of a property, right? So when you're going in on a listing appointment, you're just going in to solve a solution. Like, this person may want to sell their home, and this is what I can do to help you sell it. But the challenge is you're not, because of your limiting belief, you're not accounting for the fact that 20 to 30% of people want to sell cash to an investor for reasons that are their own and not yours, right? You might think, oh, they're not going to get the most money, whatever. And you have all of these things. But to the home seller, you're trying to convince them to do something that they don't want to do, right? Which is, I want cash, fast, easy. I don't want to do an inspection. I don't want to prepare the house for sale. I just want to get out, right? And it could be because of divorce, taxes, whatever. So number one, real estate agents. Are you letting real estate agents in your network know that you also have an opportunity? Like you don't have to be a flipper, but you could say, I work with a lot of investors that buy homes cash. Did you know that? So if you ever have a solution, if you ever have a problem and you need a solution and a cash buyer, call me because I could help you. Okay. You're already doing this anyways. You're talking to real estate agents. Okay. But are you saying I have access to cash buyers? Because we're all marketing ourselves as real estate agents. It's just as easy to say I also have a cash solution. As a matter of fact, some of the biggest brokerages and real estate agents in our area do that, right? We buy houses cash. Click here to buy a house cash. Do you guys know what the number one response to marketing is right now for real estate is? Online? Cash offers. Cash offers, right? Anything like, those like companies like Fellow or CRM, so or like whatever that you're on, the most amount of the leads they get, like Facebook, Google, it doesn't matter where you're marketing. You could look at this across all platforms. The cash offer is the highest response rate because people, for some reason, one or another, want a cash offer, or they want to at least know, hey, what can I get for a cash offer versus listing it on the market with a great agent like Ron, right? And what is the difference in the process? So some of the differences is with cash offers, there's no inspections, no contingencies, no appraisals, right? And sometimes they need fast cash. Sometimes, and I know it doesn't happen as often as it did when I started 16 years ago in 2009, but foreclosures still do happen. And some people are going to lose their house and they're going to lose all of the equity they have. So they need a cash investor to come in and bail them out fast. I already mentioned this, but just to reiterate, 20 to 30% of all investors, all transactions are cash transactions. Okay. Now, the second thing I wanted to talk about is your sphere of influence, because again, it's creating solutions for problems that people have. So how many people on this call that I can see by show of hand tell your sphere of influence, the people you talk to every day, that I can buy houses cash and I have an investor list. I could come in and buy a property cash. Show me your hands if you do it. Ron, there you go. What, two? Two out of what I could see. So that's good, but you could see we got a bunch of people on the call. I'm checking the chat. Not that many, not enough, right? You're not providing a solution that you're not telling your clients, hey, I have a cash solution if you ever want to. So what's happening when you don't do that? They go online and they click answer the ad that says, give me a cash offer for your house, which is typically going to be a home investors or a local agent in our area, right? Or a local investor in our area. And they're going to click that and they're going to go on that and they're going to sell their house cash, and you're going to lose the transaction and the opportunity to either flip a house or bring it to your investor. Okay, point number 3, whether you like them or not, again, this is not like, hey, this is my opinion, I like this, I don't like this. But point number 3 is wholesalers. Whether you think it's illegal, unethical, or whatever. Show me your hands if you know what a wholesaler is. Because a lot of real estate agents aren't actually. I'm surprised how many people don't know what a wholesaler is. Anybody? Nobody knows what a wholesaler is? That is shocking. Oh, Ron. Ron knows everything, though. That's true. All right. So a wholesaler is, a lot of agents don't know. I didn't even know this actually for a while. Is you could buy a property, right? Tie up a property. So if I'm buying Ron's house, he's being interactive, so I'll use Ron as my example. I could tie up Ron's property by giving him a contract, a cash offer. And in that cash offer, I write the purchaser is Arthur or my LLC or assignee. So in Massachusetts, those contracts are actually assignable. So I never have to close on the house. I could then turn around, and I see my boy Harry just hopped on the call. I could turn around, I call Harry, who's a cash flipper, for example, and I say, hey, Harry, I'll sell you this house for $550, but I have it under contract with Ron for $500. So there, I never close on the house, and I actually make money on that spread. It's called a wholesaler. And whether you like them or not, they get to practice real estate without a license, is what I always say. And I think it's crap. And I used to always fight it and hate wholesalers. But the reality is, wholesalers are doing deals and they're finding flips and they market for flips, and they can bring you a lot of opportunities to do transactions, right? There's huge companies that just wholesale. That's all they do. They literally market and wholesale those properties to a flipper. So think of a wholesaler as somebody who's buying a property at a discount and selling it to then a second investor, like a flipper. They're like the middleman, and they have a lot of deals. And then my point number 5 here is marketing. You could actually go out there and market by running Facebook ads, Google ads, billboards, whatever it is you want to do. Like you guys have all seen We Buy Ugly Houses, right? Home investors, largest home buyer in the nation. All they do is market. Okay. In our area, in the Boston, Massachusetts area, they spend about $300,000 to $400,000 a month to target home sellers that want cash offers. Okay. And they're able to come in there and get those cash transactions, find a solution to the seller because they're marketing better than we are as agents. And then they're able to go in and purchase those houses. Okay. I'm almost done here. Then we're going to open it up to Q&A. Point number 6 I wrote down is make sure you're always providing solutions to sellers, because a lot of times we don't, because we have limiting beliefs. Or like I did, like I was like not a fan of wholesalers. I didn't understand it, right? I saw a real estate agent make a video the other day, said, never sell your house off market. Okay. I get where he's coming from. It makes sense. But we're trying to change the psyche of somebody who's going to take an action anyways. And it doesn't make sense. So in other words, why are you going to say, don't sell your house cash to me when I'm going to sell my house cash? Why don't you just bring me that solution? And then you can make money and solve my problem. Because that is what we do as real estate agents. But as real estate agents, we don't wear the investor hat enough. And I love Gary Keller and the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, because he teaches us that we should be real estate investors as real estate agents, right? We should all invest in real estate, millionaire real estate investor, because you guys are helping people make millions and millions of dollars by buying and selling and investing in real estate. So you should be doing it too. And there's opportunities for you to make money and profit by helping people, which is what we're doing day to day anyways. All right. So the way you're going to get deals is basically, just to sum this up about flipping, because I know we talked about buy and holds. We had investors who had 400 units on the calls. You guys could listen to the previous podcast. I emailed them to you. But on this call, I wanted to just focus on the flipping aspect of things, because it's a huge opportunity. So David and I'll finish with a story and then open up Q&A. When David and I started into business, okay, it was in 09, so 16 years ago, 3 years ago, we were going to every seminar like we still do today, every conference. And I go to the restroom, and next to me is a guy who was also at the seminar. That guy ended up becoming a flipper, and he ended up doing 1 to 4, probably I would say, like, he started with 1, but he got up to 4 transactions a year. And I talked about on this last call, as a real estate agent, an average real estate agent, if we're generous, sells 12 homes a year. An average investor or flipper can buy 12 homes a year. And if you're their real estate agent, that's 24 transactions on the buy and sell side. Imagine if you have 2 or 3 of those, that's your whole business. Some of the top agents you guys know in our area that dominate are creating their own inventory by working with investors or being developers themselves. So by you working and gearing yourself to work with investors, you're going to learn on their time, and you're going to get paid, you're going to get experience, and you're going to do way more transactions. So that's why this is a huge untapped opportunity for real estate agents. And if you don't know where to get started, you don't know what to do, think about it like this. David and I, for 10 years, transacted real estate and built our real estate career only, not doing investments, not doing anything else. And probably 10 years into the business, we actually started buying real estate and investments and doing flips, because we were learning for 10 years and getting experience. So what I'm not saying is this: go find a deal and try to do a flip yourself, because you'll probably lose money. And then you're going to be that person talking about, like, real estate doesn't work. Just like we talked about on multifamilies, you're going to have a bad experience. You're going to say multifamily doesn't work. Get a mentor or a strategic partner and then do the deal, because you're going to learn so much more by doing a deal with somebody else, even if you don't get paid, than you going out there the first time trying to figure out everything you need to know about buying real estate or flipping real estate. And then you're going to lose money, and you're going to be that example, because negative news spreads way faster than positive news. You're going to be that example of saying, oh, this doesn't work, while other people in our market are going to make money around you. Okay. Like, there's people in this market in Massachusetts that do over 100 flips a year. Think about that. And you're driving past, and some of them are your clients. They're buying your clients' houses and they're selling them cash or whatever. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. There's a huge opportunity in flipping real estate, partnering with flippers, partnering with investors, and learning that side of the business. And eventually you could do it on your own, or you may decide, like, hey, I don't want to do flips. But flips are a great opportunity to infuse cash into your business, to do what we ultimately talk about on our last couple calls, and that is to buy and hold real estate, which is the greatest wealth creator around, right? If you can buy and hold real estate, buy multifamily, you're going to make money. You're going to make serious money. All right. Q&A style. I know my boy Ron always has the best questions, so I'm going to open it up to him first, because he kills it. You're on, like, every podcast episode. If you listen to it, Ron, you could hear yourself asking questions.
Awesome, man. Great job today so far. Thank you so much for doing this, and everyone, good morning. So, you know me personally, I kind of struggle with the ethical dilemma of being a realtor, and my job is to net the client the most money and represent their best interests as a realtor, right? There's also fiduciary responsibility as a real estate licensee. We are also much more intelligent and knowledgeable about real estate. So when we meet with a consumer who potentially is under distress, death, divorce, whatever, foreclosure, we have to be careful to protect ourselves legally. How
Yes.
do you and David do that?
I love this question.
I mean, because I want to balance those.
Great
I want to
question.
do it right and not get
So,
sued and not be like a scumbag realtor who took advantage of a little
yeah,
old lady. You know
which
what I mean?
there is a lot of that. There's a lot of that. And that's why I didn't like wholesalers initially, right? And that's why I didn't like off-market sale. You go in, the person doesn't know what their house is worth, and they sell it. But at the end
Yeah,
of the
and
day,
the wholesaler, not to interrupt, but I am. The wholesaler is not necessarily a licensee and
yep,
a realtor. They are just an
right,
independent person. So
right.
they have a
Of
different level of
course.
responsibility than we do.
Yep. So here's the answer to that question. So one of the things I believe is always being honest and transparent, regardless of whether you have a real estate license or not. Now, people with real estate licenses and no real estate licenses also sometimes have bad ethics, and they go in and they take advantage of the homeowner. This is what I tell every single homeowner when I buy a house. Hey, we also invest in real estate and we could give you a cash offer. But I will tell you, you're always going to get more money by putting your home on the market. Okay. If you list your home with me, you're going to get more money than you will with a cash offer. And people appreciate that and they get it. And you tell them that straight up. But if you do want a cash offer, and for me, it's a little bit easier because there's a degree of separation because I have a partner and a business partner who's my brother. I'll say, if you do want a cash offer, my brother can give you a cash offer. Okay. He buys and sells and invests in real estate. And I think that degree of separations creates some liability and separates some liability, but also I'm being completely upfront, honest, and ethical by telling them you're always going to get more money by listing your home on the market. And then some people will say, I don't want to. I don't want to. I'm going to get a cash offer. And whether you're going to give me the cash offer or Home Investor or another one of your competitors, I'm going to get it. I'm going to sell my house cash and I need to sell it fast. And you're going to say, okay, here's my cash number. And again, the advantage of being a real estate agent is you're providing two solutions. But if you don't buy the house for cash or you don't sell it to an investor, you always get the listing. Where like a unlicensed person or a true investor is only going in there for one thing, and that's to buy that house no matter what. But we're able to provide them multiple solutions. Hey, Ron, here's 3 solutions. Which one works best for you? As opposed to, hey, I'm here just to list a house. But that person is now, they have to go online and click a cash offer button and get somebody else who's your competitor, most likely, might not be, come in there and give them a cash offer. Go ahead.
Follow-up question. Are you doing this with every listing, like even like the, beautiful, beautiful homes that
No,
definitely should be sold retail, or is it
no,
just with the tough homes?
nope. And you're really good at this because I know your listing presentation is multiple hours and you're really good 3 hours. I didn't want to say it. You're really good at connecting with people. So what you will know, like you and David are both great connectors. So what you realize is once you talk to people and you ask great questions and you let them talk, you use your 2 ears to listen and one mouth just to ask great questions and not talk as much. They're going to tell you as they speak what they're looking for and what the problems are in their life, their concerns, right? As you're building that relationship over multiple hours. So if somebody wants to net the most money possible, that is not a great, like, hey, what's your goal, Ron? Right? And you're like, I want it to some, I always say, like, some sellers are pennies a penny. They don't care about any of the terms or anything. They want the highest price no matter what. They'll take a worst offer at a higher price. And there's also the opposite of that. There's people who just want a cash offer. I know a guy who literally buys houses. This guy buys over 30 homes a year, probably way more than that. And often people sell him the house, even though he's not the highest offer. Often. And he goes, hey, call me at the end. I'm not going to be the highest, but here's why you want to use me, right? He connects with them. He builds a relationship. Okay. He provides a solution to their problem. No inspection, no appraisal. I'm not going to nickel and dime you later. You can move out wherever you want. Actually, if you don't know this story, when we bought a 3-family in Medford, okay, it wasn't a great move for us, especially when you don't have a lot of money. We let the seller stay there 6 months and occupy 2 units and then gave him an extension for another 6 months while we were bleeding money. Like I had to pay the mortgage the whole time. And the first 6 months was free. Then the next 6 months, I was like, look, if you're not going to get out, you have to pay me something because David and I have to pay this mortgage on $1 million property. But we went through all of that pain, and eventually that property now might be worth. We paid $950 for it. It's a 3-family in Medford. If you know that market, it's worth $1.5 million, and the monthly revenue is $10,000 a month, right? But that seller, I told her, I met with her for a year. I said, Ruthie, you want to sell your house? Let me list it. She's like, nope, owns back taxes, had family in there, couldn't get the cash to buy her next house, had all of these issues. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get the listing. Literally, this was like years. And eventually,
4 years.
and
4
then
years.
4 years. There you go. David went there. He met with her like 2 times. We're like, we're never gonna sell this lady's house. Okay. I just want the listing. And I was just thinking as a realtor, the listing. But when I started to listen and hear her and he came by, he's like, I think this lady needs money, right? She needs money to pay off her taxes, take care of her daughters. She needs money to buy the next house. And she needs a place to stay while that happens, right? She doesn't have a dollar to her name. Every month she's getting further and further behind. The tenants are, it's all vacant. One tenant is paying rent of like $1,200. So she had all of these issues that a real estate agent was not able to solve. Like she doesn't want to pay commission. She doesn't want to deal with that. But by thinking differently, thinking like an investor, we were able to find a solution to her problem. And that's what this call really is about. It's like find solutions to people problems, because if you don't, somebody else will. And I started by saying this. It's like, it doesn't matter what you think, because most of it is a mindset issue. But statistics matter, right? 20% of all transactions are going to be cash deals. That doesn't matter if it's a cash deal involving you, Ron, me, David, or Mark. That seller is going to sell to a cash buyer, right? It doesn't matter who that cash buyer is. So we could be a solution to that, or we could not be a solution to that, right? The same with like multifamily or commercial, whatever. The more solutions you have for people, the more you can offer them, the more likely it is that you are to make money and to help them solve a problem and make it a win-win, right? Great questions. Thanks, Ron, for hopping on. You're going to be my co-host pretty soon.
Hey, Arthur, I have a question. I've been following you around for a while. I feel like I listen to a lot of the things you say, but can you just talk about what realistically some of the situations you've seen where people actually lose money? Because it's like, while you can make money, it's really no joke. We've seen people that have lost their life savings, have made really horrible decisions, both in the ownership of the real estate and in the, like trying to do a flip just so you could get paid, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's why when we talked about on the call earlier, the best thing sometimes is to partner. Like you and I never bought a deal for, I don't know, like 10 years. All we did was help people make money. But during that time, and Ron talked about this last week on the call, what some of you, most of you, I don't know, actually I shouldn't say that. I don't know the age of how long you've been in real estate, but a lot of us have not seen a down market. David and I started in a down market. And when people forget is when everybody's making money and things are good, they forget and they become loose with their money and they take a lot more risks. So yes, people can lose a lot of money and they can go bankrupt, which we've seen. The investor I told you a story about earlier went bankrupt, and a lot of people lost. One of his really good friends lost his whole life savings by giving him money for a flip. There's ways to protect yourself against those bad situations, and you got to learn to do that in a good market. So when things change, you're not going to have those issues. So if you are to be an investor and give somebody capital, make sure you always put a mortgage or a lien on the house and hire an attorney. Okay. So you get paid no matter what. You don't just give somebody money and not put a contract in place. And that contract could be, and there's multiple contracts to make deals work. If we're talking about buying a multifamily, we're going to put an LLC in place, right? We're going to hire attorneys. We're going to make sure these partnerships or agreements are protecting us. We're going to also make sure if we're given money or investments, our money is protected, right? By putting mortgages and liens on the houses, not just giving people money, right? So those things are so critical. That's a great question, David, because real estate values do go down and people do get bankrupt. So you got to make sure you protect yourself and get educated. And we're going to have a speaker, an attorney that's going to come on and educate us on that. I see some hands getting raised. You could just jump in and ask questions, but there's a lot of stuff in the chat, so I can't read them all. So I'll just call out Ilya because I see his hand. My boy Ilya. While I read the notes.
Happy Friday. What's going on, guys?
What up?
What up? Sorry to hop on. I got a few minutes here. But I wanted to just chime in really quickly. One thing that happened here in our local market, and again, I'm not trying to speak ill of anybody. It's just more a lesson to be learned. According to, the story, I'll tell you, hypothetically, let's call it, somebody put multiple projects under one LLC. And then they basically were sued by the buyers in a project that they had done. And then they lost that project. They lost basically that LLC got sued. And that LLC ended up being like the LLC that had like two different projects on. And obviously, like, I don't know how much protection you get if you like personally, professionally, all that stuff. But yeah, it really went bad. Really went bad for them. They had to, they again, I think that they definitely took a massive hit financially and had to like really get out from under that because they made the mistake of fucking up the development. They flew too close to the sun, thought that they were fucking, not going to ever be at risk of anything and didn't underpin a foundation. You don't underpin a foundation, you're going to get sued when the house starts caving in on you.
Yep. So all of our projects are in a multifamilies are in a separate LLC to protect ourselves from, so that LLC is isolated and not with all your other businesses, right? Because most of you will have a S corp or LLC for your real estate business, etc. So you want to make sure each property is in its own LLC and always do the right thing. And you got to know what you're doing. Like this is not like, it's not like a game of basketball where you go out and shoot some hoops with Ilya at the park. You really got to know what you're doing. Learn from other people. And strategic partnerships, I can't say that enough. I can't say that enough. Like, call somebody who's already doing it and partner with them, whether that's for capital, construction, whatever it may be, right? You always see like real estate agents partnering with contractors, partnering with money lenders. So everybody can make money together, but you want to make sure that you're making strategic partnership. And once you learn and you feel comfortable, you can go off on your own. Let's go to Harry because he has his hand raised.
So you talked about a situation, Art, and thanks for putting this together, by the way. You talked about a situation where you would go in as a prospective listing agent and you pick up on the fact that the person you're speaking to may be interested in a direct sale. And that's when you bring David in to talk about doing a deal directly.
Yep.
Most of the people that I've heard that do this type of thing successfully do have that sort of two-tier system where, there's one person that handles listings, one person that handles direct acquisitions. Have you ever seen an example of someone who manages both roles effectively?
I've done it and I find it hard because no matter even if you say, hey, if I list your house cash, but you give them a cash offer, there's certain people that'll get offended, right? And now you're trying to get a listing. So they look at you like, hey, you're an investor. You already gave me a lowball offer I didn't take, and now you're trying to get the listing. So I found it personally that degree of separation makes it easier, right? Another entity, my investors, my group, even if it's you, like my partners, it makes it a lot easier than me saying, hey, I'll buy your house cash or I'll list your house, right? Because now they might say, okay, so are you listing my house or are you buying it cash? So I have done it successfully. I think it's challenging. And the key role there is just be upfront and honest, right? Hey, I'm a real estate investor. I buy houses cash. Would you like me to give you a cash offer? Okay. And I always say, like, just know if I list this house on the market, you're going to get a lot more money all the time. Every single time. If I list it, you're going to get more money. Okay. But if you want a cash offer, I could give you a cash offer. And when I've done it successfully, typically what I'll do is like, if you don't like my cash offer, I have other investors. Do you want to see what they'll offer so you can compare? So I'm super transparent and honest, and I'm just giving them solutions to their problems, right? Because the way I think about it is like, I'm either going to list it, I'm either going to buy it, or one of my investors is going to buy it. And when we talked about working with investors, if an investor buys it, like David and I, if you bring us a deal, you get the buy side commission, right? And you're also going to be my listing agent if you want the listing, or you're going to get paid. So that's a huge advantage. And it also creates a lot of separation. Like, so I hope that answered your question. I think it does.
Yeah.
Leo's next, and then we'll go to Ron. Get a partner. Bring me in. You blame the cash offer on me.
Hey, Arthur, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, so one thing I just wanted to mention when you shared with everybody to build strategic partnerships. One of the most important things is to make sure that you know the outlets of getting your clients capital, right? So while 20% of transactions are cash, how do you solve the needs of other investors that have money tied up? So you know me, I'm not here to self-promote. I never have been. But you want to have conversations with your preferred lender and try to gain gain some intricacy into their knowledge into investment solutions. Like, do you know what a reverse 1031 is? Like, do you have an outlet for someone to buy your client's investment property, hold it so that the waiting period to identify the other one doesn't start, right? Or like flipping loans and like different outlets to gain capital. I think strategic partnerships, like you mentioned, is like one of the most essential things in any commission sales, is to just network, meet people, share what you do, learn what they do, and then connect them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it. I think having multiple solutions is so key because working with investors, flippers, and rehabbers, one thing I'll tell you is not everybody likes the same thing. I could take 20 of us walk us through it, one deal, and everybody hates it except David. He'll love it. Or me, I love every deal. I'm the only one. But most people don't buy the same stuff. And also they have their capital tied up, right? Like I'm doing a big project in Boston right now, so my cash is in there. But there's other solutions like Leo mentioned, hard money. A lot of lenders will do products for flips, short-term capitals, lines of credits, partnerships. So you have to have resources for these transactions, right? And that's why sometimes when we had Jeff Duchesne on the call last week, he said he had a 100-unit deal that he bought, right? And this kid owns already 150 units. And the 100-unit deal, he realized that for him, it was too big of a piece to bite off, right? He couldn't come up with the capital. So he created a strategic partnership. And now he still has a piece of that deal. So strategic partnerships are key, and having resources and solutions. We'll have a lender talk about some of the options of you know, but different financing options you can use for flips specifically. Ron, go ahead.
Right. So you're basically hitting on my question just right there. Let's pretend I'm a new agent. I'm excited about what you're saying, and I want to have that option for a seller that I'm going to buy their home cash. What would be your one or two steps or resources that you say we should lean into at first because and maybe I don't have $700,000 lying around to buy a house cash, right? What would you recommend we do? Because we can't just say we're going to buy your home cash. We have to be able to buy your home cash, right?
Yeah. So you actually, I think I was trying to read some of the notes. I think you actually wrote like have a buyer's list. Was that you? I think you might have wrote having a buyer's list. So here's the key, right? You want to start building strategic relationships and partnerships right now. Hey, Ron, so every once in a while I come across a great opportunity and a great deal. Let me ask you a question. Are you a cash buyer? Would you buy a flip? Or are you willing to partner with me if I bring you a great opportunity? And now when I say yes, I go on this, when you say yes, you go on a spreadsheet like Ron, cash investor, looking for flips, North Shore only, Merrimack Valley, budget 500. This is his perfect buy, right? They call it a buy box, whether it's for investments or flips. So now I know, now I have you, right? Or better yet, what I would do, I always say a small piece of a big pie is better than a big piece of nothing. So meaning like, I'd rather get a small piece of a great investment than nothing because I tried to get the whole thing. So go and find people that say like, hey, Ron, if I find it, or like, for example, I go, Ron, if I find a deal, I know you're an experienced flipper, will you partner with me? Or can I at least get the listing? And you'll say, yeah, if you bring me a deal that I buy, you can get paid and I'll give you the listing. Okay. So now I got paid the buy side and the list commission because I brought you a deal, right? So there's opportunities like that, but you want to have multiple. Because the problem is, the reason why investors tend to not sign contracts with real estate agents instead of just one is because they're more focused on the deal. It's like whoever brings me the deal is who their loyalty is to, right? So if you brought me a great deal, but say Harry's my go-to real estate agent, I can't really list that deal with Harry. I know some people might do that, but then Ron, will you ever bring me another deal again? Probably not. So you got to make sure you take care of the person that brings you the deal. Okay. So that's a great question, but absolutely. You got to build relationships and a big list. I have people on my list that are on this call. I know they got big money. If I have a big deal, I pick up the phone, I call them. I'm like, hey, this is the deal. Do you want to get into it? Now, most people will tell you yes all the time, but when it's time to do the deal, most of them will not do it. And you'd be shocked how many. Like, yeah, I got 100, 200, 300 grand to invest. You call them, oh, no, I don't like it. So that's why they're going to have multiple real estate agents. But if you're thinking as an investor, you want to have a list of cash buyers, commercial lenders, commercial brokers, like a list for everything, right? Because you're going to, when the opportunity comes, Ron, and you find a great deal, you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to start dialing. And a lot of the people are going to say, no, thank you. More than you imagine. You know who's not going to say no? Mark Krovo. He always says yes. Kid's a beast. So bring Krovo the deal. He'll come up with the capital. He's a yes man.
It's always a way to get a deal done. Ron, bring that deal to this group next week. We'll make it happen.
Come on.
There's always a way to get the deal done. I love it. I'm writing that down. There's always a way to get a deal done. All right, what else, Ron? Your hand is still raised. I don't know if you meant it for it to be raised.
I know. I don't know how to lower it. It's just stuck in the on position. Oh no, it's off now. Okay, cool. Yeah, but I think like, I know what you're saying. Like what I was thinking though is like me, I want to buy the home cash. I'm the realtor, right?
Oh,
What would the first step be? Like, I mean, my,
yes.
my immediate thought is I have two options. Home equity line of credit on my house
Yep.
to use that
I
money,
understand.
or get a credit line from a hard money lender lined up that I can
I
walk in
understand.
and say, I can buy it. Like,
Okay, I understand the question now. So the ways to get capital is what you're asking. So number one and the best one is what you said, a HELOC, a home equity line of credit on your primary residence, because the way that financial product works is great. You only pay interest for the amount of days you use it. If you have the line of credit and you're not using it, you don't pay any interest. If you pull it out and you pay it back the next day, you only pay interest for that day. So HELOC, number one product. The way we gap that is, so say, let's use an example. You got $1 million deal, we're going big, and you got a $500,000 line of credit. Now, how do you gap that? No, so the way you cover that gap, number two, is you could bring in a partner. You say, Arthur, I put up 500, you put up 500. Okay. So private lenders, private partners. Okay. We're actually going on the deal. I'll call it a partnership. Number three is a private lender. So you might call Mark Crover and you say, hey, I know you're a big money guy. Let me get 500,000. I'll pay you 8, 9, 10% interest, or give you a small piece of the deal. But he's just a money lender. He's not really a true partner, right? He's just lending you money and he wants a return on his money. Number four is a hard money lender. The tough thing about it is they're going to charge you like 2 and 12 is typical, or 2.5 and 10. The fees are high. You're going to pay 2 points up front and 10% interest for the year, but also your experience matters. So they underwrite deals based on your experience. So the more deals you do, the better rates you get, but the more likely it is that they'll do the deal. And when you go to them for the first one, like anything, like buying your first investment property, it's the hardest, because they're going to say, Ron, how many deals have you done? You're going to say 0. So then you could partner with somebody who has done a bunch of deals, because they could get the hard money loan easier. So those are like basically the start, right? And then the only other way, which I haven't done, you could raise capital from a bunch of little people and do it partnerships. But if you want to do it all by yourself, I would do HELOC and hard money, HELOC and a partner, or hopefully if you have a HELOC that covers the whole thing, then you're good. And then as you grow and you get bigger and bigger and you do more and more, what you do is, like, say you built up a portfolio, like a great size portfolio, like Mark, he has a great 20 plus unit portfolio. What you could do, and listen to that call Mark did a couple weeks ago. It was a great interview, by the way, how he started from 0 to went to like over 20 units. I said 7 years, but it's less than 4. So once you have a portfolio the size of Mark's, you could also call the bank and say, hey, I need a line of credit. And typically based on your equity, they might give you a line of credit because you have so much equity in your real estate. So those are the ways that you would get money and capital. But we'll have a lender come in or a hard money guy come in and talk about the different ways you can get money for real estate flips. The only other way too, Ron, is sometimes you could get you could partner with the seller. You could say, hey, I'll do all the work and renovate it. We'll split the profits at the end. But now you don't have to come up with the money to buy the house, because you'll put an agreement in place. I haven't done that either, but you know what I'm saying? So you go, hey, Ron, instead of giving you 500,000, right, today, cash, how about you wait for your cash? I'm gonna come in here, you move out, I renovate the house, we sell it, and whatever profits are left, we split it 2 ways. Okay, the extra profit. So those are ways, but the beauty about real estate, like Mark said earlier, there's always a way to get deals done. And if you're creative, there's so many opportunities. There's so many resources. And by masterminding and networking and going to calls like this, you're going to meet people. Like there's people in this room on this call that have big money that do deals together all the time. So there's a lot of opportunities. Great questions as always, Ron. Before hard.
I haven't done it either, but maybe like a cross collateral loan. I don't know if that's a little different than what you were talking about with a line of credit. And also banks are willing to take a second position on properties. Like we have a couple deals where our rates are in the low 4s. They would love to take a second position since we've come in, renovated all the units, upgraded the building, got the rents up to above market or fair market, value. And then they would love to take a second position on that for us to do another deal.
Yeah,
But
and I recently learned about the second. That's a great product too if you need cash. And then Leo also said before hard money, if you plan to hold a property, recommend you use a lender who knows how to close a DSCR loan. So that's a debt service coverage ratio loan. This is not for flips. This is for buy and holds. I've done a couple of this year. It was interesting. So basically, if the property, like some of our clients are like contractors or cash people and they can't qualify for a loan. But a DSCR product is for people who make money, but they don't show a lot of money on the books. So as long as the property qualifies and the debt service coverage ratio, basically the rents pay the mortgage, you could get a loan and you could buy the property. The rate is higher though on that product. So again, maybe we'll have Leo next week talk about some of these products just to give you guys a good idea. In the next 2 weeks, I got I think it's the second week of April. I got Jim Black coming on. He was on our podcast a couple times. Guy's a legend. Him and his team sell about 200 homes in Worcester, but he's also a businessman and an investor. Very humble guy. I like the way he thinks, and he also has a bunch of investment properties with his agents as partnerships. I believe a property management business, maybe even a mortgage company. So we're going to bring him on. If you haven't had the chance to listen to Mark Crovo's episode, check that out on Spotify or a previous podcast episode. And that's pretty much it for today. Unless we got more questions, we could do Q&A style. If anybody wants to add anything and say, Arthur, you're so wrong, this is inaccurate, you could tell me. But all the advice I give is based on experience. And let me know what you guys think. Throw your comments in the chat. I hope you enjoyed the calls. We do it every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Okay. So this call is for real estate agents, investors, property managers, brokers, lenders, anybody who's a real estate titan, anybody in the real estate industry, real estate entrepreneurs. Thanks for hopping on, everybody. Always look forward to these calls, says Mark Crovo, who's a beast. If you didn't hear his story, make sure you go back and listen to it. How he went from 0 to 20 plus. Leo said, fire as always. Thank you. You're welcome, guys. Harry, good to see you. We got to hit a workout next.
I wanted to ask a quick question.
Sure, shoot it.
So is the reason why a homeowner doesn't want to list their property on the MLS to avoid the broker fee?
Sometimes some sellers actually do really not want to pay a broker fee because they don't understand, like, who cares, because you're going to net more money. But typically it's other reasons, like they don't want people through their house. They want to sell fast for cash. It could be a variety of reasons. They're moving and they need money to buy their next house. They want somebody who's going to give them lenient terms. Like the house needs a lot of work. They don't want to prepare it for sale. They don't want to do a home inspection. So literally there's a lot of reasons. Condition, health concerns, Harry wrote. Disagreement among owners is a big one. Like sometimes they're like, yeah, we just want to split it cash fast, like whatever. They may be losing their house to foreclosure. That doesn't happen much, but believe it or not, it still does happen where people don't pay their mortgage for years. And even though they have a ton of equity, they're like, oh, next week the bank's taking the house. So if I don't sell it, I'm going to lose all that equity. And people just keep hoping they're going to hit the lottery or something. So all of those reasons, there's a variety. Great question. And
are we able to see off-market properties or foreclosed properties through the MLS?
Yep, they list them, but they're very far and few between, so they're very rare. There's a search button you could click that says foreclosure or short sale. In 2010 to 15, they were prevalent. Now they're hard to find. Really, you have to find them by what we talked about on this call today, networking. There is, Harry wrote, public notices. You get the info sooner. Notice of defaults, they call them. It's public record. You could buy lists of people who are defaulting on their house. So there's many ways to get that information, but it's hard. That's why people don't do it. And then the best way, what the biggest guys that I know in our market that do it, is they market for that. They market. And the biggest example of that is the We Buy Ugly Houses guys, right? All they do is they spend millions of dollars marketing to that specific seller. That small sliver of people that are going to sell for cash, they market to that. So you have to go out and you have to knock on doors, ring some bells, meet some people. But the good thing is very similar to the real estate sales business. If you're going to be successful in real estate sales, you have to talk to people anyways, right? So now I'm just teaching you how to kill two birds with one stone, provide more solutions to people's problems. All right.
Okay. All right, I got a good job. Got to go. I have a 3-hour listing appointment coming up today. So
I know you can get it.
Good luck.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for hopping on. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
See you next week.
See ya.